Welcome to this video. Where do we come from? We do not descend from Africa. This video will further illustrate that modern humans cannot come and do not descend from Africans as suggested by consensus. If things were like in accordance with what consensus claims, Africans migrated out of Africa 50 to 80,000 of years ago. Such migration, or any migration at whatever time greater than 4,250 years ago, that would have migrated out of Africa, or even to north of the Sahara, would have been wiped out by the Romeo population turnover event that finished not more than 4,250 years ago, just as all the rest in Eurasia was wiped out by this population turnover event. Further, I claim and will argue and present many indices, or even fundamental proofs that Africans are not the ancestors of all humans, or all modern humans. Africans never made it out of Africa, and are only ancestors of their African descendants. They did not come out of Africa for the same reasons as Eurasian, that includes Europeans, never made it out of Eurasia. Those who made it out of Eurasia were the AMERINDs that got into Eurasia through the several entries, Atlantic, Pacific and Arctic. Waves of migrations out of the Americas cause population turnover. The reasons are continuous waves of massive migrations out of the Americas to Eurasia and to important or strategic parts of Africa, with consequent population turnover in all these places, also in Africa. The Neanderthal group wave was much earlier, but was amongst these waves, out of the Americas, however did not install significantly south of the Sahara, or was wiped out much earlier. Images are figures. Haplotypes clearly show us that haplotype B006, Neanderthals etc., and other early haplotypes, also, came from the Americas and entered. Also, through Siberia, Ob and Yenisei River etc., before largely being wiped out in the Ob and Yenisei deltas and rivers, Siberia entry, and other cradles and crossroads, to today as fossils, only appear again in the Altai Mountains together with Denisovan. Also through Oceania, Indonesia, Sunderland, Southeast Asia, Australia, Seoul, etc. Images are figures. Neanderthal spreading. Why does it matter where we come from? HO alert that we are in a perfect storm, and it is logic to understand that this could lead to the demise of us modern humans, and possibly to unexpectedly quick demise because of our economic and social, and urban, systems have become global and very complex, developed, similar to but much more extreme than before and during the Great Famine and Black Death epidemic. Our sanitation systems are underground cloak-alike and extremely extended and dependent on automatization, technologies, and motors for pumping etc. I consider this serious and uncontrollable risks that also are unnecessary, or more correctly, avoidable. Please see Agroforest Action Plan, that would decrease this and many other risks. The training of our innate immunity in general, but especially against the re-emerging absolute diseases like plague, tuberculosis, etc., are most probably almost non-existent. Collapses since the collapses that anticipate the population turnover event that ended 4,250 years ago. Knowing the history and DNA of our ancestor can and will provide information that we need at this point, roughly and simply because before the population turnover event all humans were thriving and after this population turnover event that ended 4,250 years ago, we humans fell or got from one collapse into the other, and our brains shrunk, and became prone to degenerative diseases, and our genomes became prone to genomic instability. We also witnessed many mass biodiversity extinctions that were caused during this and former similar population turnover events. Population turnover event. Haplogroup R Romeo is a Y-DNA group that, still, today dominates Western Europe, 60 to 100%, and also is amongst the most widespread groups of the world, still spreading, after the population turnover event that ended 4,250 years ago, this time by migration, mainly since the year 1500. Because of all this, one could call it a very successful haplogroup. But it is recently the haplogroup most affected by the perfect storm and the longer perfect storm. Images are figures. Dementia. Autism. The figures that represent diseases and or degeneration I show, in the meantime, are all associated with each other and with group R Romeo. The oldest R Romeo group is the R1A group, and it has no presence in Africa. This is unlogic in the case we should come from Africa, and this presents a serious paradigm. The root of this oldest R1A group lies in the Americas and not in Africa. This is unlogic in the case we should come from Africa, and this presents a serious paradigm. The youngest R Romeo group, our 1b group, as found in the rest of the world, is not present in Africa. This is unlogic in the case we should come from Africa, and presents a serious paradigm. As a matter of fact, this group's root always was in the Americas and still is. Africa's unique R1b V88 group. The R1b V88 group is unique for Africa. It has a very limited extent and frequency in Western Africa only, did not spread to any part of the world. This is unlogic if we should come from Africa, and presents a serious paradigm. Paradigms. These paradigms, and many other paradigms as well as proofs against the consensus hypothesis of us coming out of Africa, are presented in other videos. This altogether puts the hypothesis that we come from Africa in doubt, amongst others, because all our conclusions suggest that Western Europe and much of the world is dominated by the R-Romeo group that has no presence in Africa. Neither this group's root has. America's South Atlantic route to West Africa. Out of America's South Atlantic route to West Africa, terminal. The limited presence of the only R-Romeo group and the only African and unique for Africa group, R1BV88, only occurs, or presents frequencies, on the African out of the Americas entry. Out of the Americas delivers directly to this exclusive African out of the Americas entry. Deliveries through other routes will have no easy way out of the West African coast. The most logical deliverer is the east coast of South America, mainly the Brazilian east coast. In this chapter, one try to demonstrate the complex natural system and interactions that make part of and were and are essential to the existence and development, thriving, of humans and animals alike by means of figures. I will probably be unable to explain the reason for each image and what each image shows, but I hope showing some will raise your awareness and make you interested to learn more in other videos. In case you would, I can assure you that what you will see and learn will be new and very fascinating. I suppose that the images will make this video a kind of an intermezzo in between more technical videos. Images are figures showing waterways or routes inside South America that by passing the exits and routes can enter West Africa through the African, ancient and main entry and make contact with all the connections which in potential reach out by means of currents to India and Myanmar and possibly even further east, etc. Figure of the waterways from all of the Amazon region with enriched agroforests and most original genomes to this east coast of South America. Most probably this direct delivery from the source, Amazon forest and Amazon AMERIND, delivers West Africa a unique R1BV88 and rather original, less or shorter hybridized, more robust genome. The delivered genome is best adapted for forest, tropical and subtropical conditions and of course to develop enriched agroforest in Africa. The delivery of mass-harvested so-called New World monkeys is possible and convenient. Observation, the dental plaque causing mouth bacteria etc. of the human hybrids in general are conserved from or since the howler monkey native in the Amazon forest with positive effects on enriched forests. Observation, in potential the same animals that assist AMERINDs in enriching agroforests can also work, kind of symbiosis, together with and forest natives, indigenous peoples or ethnic groups, independent of the continent and end up planting, even exotic-like from the Amazon forest, seed and forests, when provided with seeds, fruits, etc. When you look at the typical and early African haplogroup B and A in my, JM, opinion the only typical African Y DNA haplogroups, you will notice that they populate the same stretch of Africa and go in the direction of the same extended routes, keeping in mind that the forest animals will depend on the presence of forests, some even depending on enriched agroforests, or proxies of enriched agroforests. Images are figures. Entry and route inside of Africa allows for crossing from the Americas to the African main entry in West Africa, and following the routes inside Africa, and the out of Africa extended routes to the next places. Nile, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Eritrea, Madagascar, Mesopotamia, South Africa, etc. This is the end of this video. Please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.